about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's holistic integrative licensed clinical psychologist specializing in anxiety-based disorders. None other than Dr. Nafisa Sekandari.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome, Dr. Nafisa on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I specialize in anxiety based disorders, and I help high achieving individuals overcome stress, burnout, and overwhelm, doing through a natural, proven strategies that they can feel empowered and in control of their lives.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Dr. Nafisa. Thank you. And today let's talk about from anxiety to agency, how to get back in the driver's seat of your life focus, your personal journey, reclaiming control and long-term anxiety management. So, Dr. Nafisa, take me back the moment that when you realize or when you first realize that anxiety had taken the wheel, that you were no longer the driver's seat of your own life. What did that feel like, and what has the cause of letting it drive for long?
Yeah, I noticed it in my late teens that I was not in control, that I felt like I was capable of so much more, but something was holding me back. And it was a lot of fear at that time, a lot of irrational thoughts and beliefs, a lot of um, just not believing in myself and just being very critical of myself and being afraid of putting myself out there and challenging myself. So I had a lot of fear in my late teens to the point that when I turned 19, I challenged myself to overcome as many fears as possible. And so I put myself in situations, obviously safe situations, nothing scary. But if I was afraid of heights, for example, I went mountain climbing and rappelled off the side of the mountain. And if I was afraid of snakes, I forced myself to touch a snake or wrap a snake around my neck just so I can see if I can do it. One of the things that I was very afraid of was public speaking. And so I took a drama class and I put myself out there in front of my peers and my friends and got on stage. I wasn't a very good actress, but at least I put myself out there and I overcame my fear or not overcame my fear, but at least I challenged myself and saw that the world wasn't going to end if I got up on stage and talked or acted or did whatever. And so that was my mission. I didn't know what I was dealing with at that time. I didn't know it was called anxiety, but I kept pushing myself and trying to expand my comfort zone and trying to uh, feel more comfortable with myself and challenge myself and try to expand what I was like. If I was living such a small world, I wanted to expand my world so that I can have more opportunities. And then in my early 20s, I noticed that it was holding me back financially. It was holding me back in my career and my career choices. I was choosing jobs that were keeping me small, and I didn't want a lot of responsibility. I didn't want a lot of attention on me. And then it just kept going until I was mid 30s when it finally dawned on me that even though I had anxiety in my family, there are a lot of family members that struggled with anxiety. Mine didn't present the same way. And so I didn't think that I had it. I just thought I just lived with a lot of fear. But what I noticed was it was my mind and the thoughts, the irrational thoughts and beliefs that I had that go along with anxiety that was holding me back. And even though I was highly functional, I was a high achieving person, I continued to push myself and try to succeed as much as possible. Its anxiety still held me back and affected me financially and my career and my friendships. But once I understood what it was beyond the textbook definition of what anxiety is, beyond my education, even, it really made a huge difference in me not only being able to control my own anxiety and feeling empowered with it and using it and making it work for me, but also helping my patients and family members do the same thing. So you could say I went from the back of the bus, just bopping along, anxiety driving the bus, to me finally working my way up to the driver's seat and driving my own bus.
Dr. Nafisa, anxiety often wears a mask of protectiveness. It tells us it's keeping us safe. Looking back, what was the brightest life your anxiety was telling you? And how did that lie shape the decision you made?
Well, it was telling me I wasn't good enough. I wasn't capable. It was telling me that the world was a very scary place and that I needed to stay in my little small bubble and not put myself out there. It was telling me that I shouldn't go for my dreams and realizing my dreams. But once I talked back to it and challenged those thoughts and beliefs and pushed through anyway, it made all the difference in my life. But a lot of times we don't even realize that our brain is lying to us. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, and the majority of them are lies or fear based. And we don't even realize that we're following along like zombies without really questioning to see, is that thought true? Am I being lied to right now? Is my anxiety trying to protect me so much that it's exaggerating something in order to keep me safe? And anxiety is not the enemy. I want to make sure I say that. It's not the enemy. It's not trying to harm us. The goal actually is trying to protect us, but the way that it goes about doing it is trying to create a lot of fear to keep us. It's kind of like how you're raised as a child. A lot of parents that are over anxious, they raise their kids to be afraid of, don't go outside because there's strangers out there, don't talk to strangers because you might get kidnapped, don't open the door to anybody, don't eat that because you're going to get sick. There's a lot of truth to what they're saying, but they exaggerate it to the point that you're afraid to even talk to a family member, or you're constantly looking over your shoulder because you're afraid of something bad happening. A lot of people end up creating rituals and routines where they have to touch the lights a certain way or close the door a certain way in order for them to feel calm. So, those are the lies that anxiety can tell you. But once you become aware that it is a lie, or the chance that your brain can lie to you, you can start questioning some of these lies. And the way that it starts is you start writing down the typical dialogue that constantly kicks in whenever you're feeling anxious or stressed. And so when you're feeling like the same negative thoughts keep coming up, write those down and then stop and ask yourself, is that true? How do I know that that's true? Is that 100% true? Because maybe there's a small, tiny chance that that could be true, but you're not going to be reactive to something that has a small chance of happening versus a 100% chance or 90% chance. So, for example, if I look outside my window right now and I see that there's sunshine and cloud, there's not a single cloud in the sky, but my brain is telling me, no, there's going to be a huge thunderstorm coming. But I look at the weather forecast, I check everything, and it says there's very little chance of a thunderstorm, but there might be like a 1 to 2% chance. I'm not going to freak out and go grab my umbrella because of a 1 to 2% chance, right? But we react as if the 1 to 2% chance of other things, other stressors in our lives, have more of an impact than they do. But if we slow down, we take a deep breath and we question it, like, okay, there's just maybe a 10%, maybe a 5 to 10% chance that something is happening, but there's a 90% chance that it's not going to happen. I want us to focus on that 90% chance and calm our system down and react with the 90% as opposed to freaking out over a 10% chance.
Very well said, Dr. Nafisa. Was there a specific rock bottom or a single or clarifying moment where you said, enough, something has to change? Or it was slower or quieter realization that built over time?
Well, I think it was a lot of the stuff, like I said, in my late teens, to the point that I lived with so much fear that everything was catastrophizing for me. I couldn't go to parties. I couldn't even go to family functions without being so anxious about it. And I realized that that was ridiculous because that wasn't who I was as a child. And I knew that I was capable of doing more. And I could see other people not reacting the way I was reacting. And so that was my enough statement that when I turned 19, I said, okay, I don't want to take all these fears into my 20s. Obviously, I wasn't fully 100% successful, but at least I made that intention in my when I was 19 to work on this as an issue and not allow it to completely control me in my 20s as well. Throughout my 20s, yes, it was filled with anxiety still, but I was feeling a little bit more empowered each day. I was feeling every year became a little bit more in control. And so to the point that by my mid 30s, I felt it all came together and I was able to um, regain control of it. But I also want to say that it wasn't just my thoughts. It was my lifestyle in my late teens and my 20s that was also making my anxiety worse. I was a college student. I was eating junk food. I was not sleeping when I should be sleeping. I was up all night with my friends and drinking a lot of soda, a lot of sugar, a lot of like pizza and fast food, and not eating a lot of vegetables. And all of that was impacting my anxiety as well, because what we eat is going to determine how we feel. And if we, whether or not we're sleeping. So if I'm getting enough sleep now, I know I'm going to be more relaxed and more and less reactive the next day. So all of that plays a part into it as well.
Dr. Nafisa, when you were in the thick of it, what did you most needed to hear from someone else? And did anyone say it to you?
No, I wish that I knew then what I know now about anxiety. And so that's my mission now, to help a lot of young people not stress and not struggle as much as I did when I was in my late teens and 20s. My goal is to help a lot of young people get the tools and redirect their lives so that they're not being controlled by anxiety and stress. I didn't understand any of it. I was new to this country. I didn't understand how to feel empowered. But at the same time, back then, people weren't talking about mental health the way they're talking now. So I really wish that I had the information I have now back when I was a teenager or in my 20s, because that would have made my life so much better and I wouldn't have held myself back as much.
So you describe your personal journey with anxiety. For listeners who were right now where you once were, what do you want them to know about the feeling of being stuck that only someone who's been there can truly articulate?
That you don't need to needlessly suffer. You can overcome anxiety. You can heal your brain. You can heal your gut. You can feel empowered and in control of your life. But you have to do the work and make sure that, and the control is in your hand. You don't need me to do it necessarily to help you. My goal is to empower people and give them the tools so that they can start driving their own bus. It's not that I want everybody to get on the bus with me. I want you to feel strong enough and capable enough that you know that you can drive the bus in your own life. But you have to make sure you're taking care of your mind and your body and making sure you're feeding your brain what it needs and taking care of your brain, because mental health is brain health. And if your brain is not healthy and you're not feeding it and taking care of it, you're going to see more symptoms of anxiety, depression, sleep issues, digestive issues. So it's important for us to take care of our body and to prioritize our mental health and be more mindful about what we're consuming, not only food wise, but also what we're passively consuming in terms of information, consuming social media, consuming a lot of scary movies, scary news. And so we need to be mindful about that and be more proactive and take care of our mind and our body.
Be proactive, people. And Dr. Navisha, will you be my guest on my other podcast, Mental Health 101? And let's talk about mental health awareness
Of
if you're
course.
interested. Thank you. So, the phrase from anxiety to agency implies a fundamental shift in identity. What was the first smallest action you look that made you feel like you were claiming a piece of control, even just for a moment?
The smallest piece of action is just being aware of what was going on and being able to distinguish my rational brain from my irrational brain. So there's a lot of irrational thoughts that we have constantly, those fear-based thoughts that have no merit for us to be reacting to it. But yet, if we're not aware of what's irrational versus rational, then we're going to react to all of it the same way. So one of the irrational thoughts would be for me to overreact when the sky is clear and there's no chance of rain, for me to act like there's going to be a huge thunderstorm coming and I'm in danger. So learning to calm my system down, learning to take deep breaths, learning to be more mindful, to slow my day, and then prioritizing my sleep. I think that's the most important step we can all take, is allowing our mind and our body to rest and repair so that we can be less reactive to our external environment the next day.
Certainly. Long term anxiety management is not a destination, it's a daily practice. What does the keeping the wheel look like for you now? What are the non negotiable habits or rituals that keep you grounded?
My sleep, I'm very, very I don't want to use the word religious, but I'm very disciplined when it comes to sleep. I have a really good bedtime routine. I make sure that I'm in bed between the hours of 10 and 2, 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because I want to align my body with the rising and the setting of the sun. And so when the sun sets, my cortisol levels should go down and then melatonin levels should go up. And when my melatonin levels are at the peak, then I'm going into that deep sleep that my body needs and my brain needs to rest and repair. And then having a slow morning the next day, that's very important to me. Like I don't need to use alarm clocks anymore. So I do wake up early. I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm able to slow my morning down. I'm not rushing and trying to freak out about being late for anything because I am waking up in a good time. And I'm not waking up with that obnoxious sound of the alarm clock that can raise your cortisol levels even more. I don't drink caffeine because I think that I don't have any coffee in the morning because that does, for people that are anxious, it makes your anxiety worse. And then having a good breakfast and making sure I'm feeding my gut bacteria so that they're releasing feel good chemicals. Those are my non negotiables, along with working out and making sure I go out and get some sunlight in the morning and working my body so that I'm releasing feel good chemicals as well.
Dr. Nafisa, Kimberly Kunlan, an anxiety specialist, talks about transformative skills of being willing to feel all emotions, including the uncomfortable ones like shame or anger. How would you learn to let those feelings exist without letting them drive?
I think just allowing them to come up instead of shoving them deep down and trying to avoid them. When we're trying to avoid them and shoving them deep down, they're going to get our attention one way or another. It's like that little toddler that you keep ignoring. They keep saying, Mommy, 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 and you keep ignoring them. They're going to have a meltdown. And that's what happens with our emotions as well. We need to just not be afraid of them, allow them to come up, take a deep breath. They're not, an emotion will only last 90 seconds if you do nothing, if you don't react to it. But if once we pull it out and we react to it and we dissect it and try to understand it, it can last days, if not months and years. And so just allowing these negative emotions to come up, sit with it, breathe through it, allow it to wash over you and move on, and try to understand it later. And then also journaling. Get in the habit of just dumping a lot of negative, scary emotions in your journal so that that charge, that emotional charge it has on you, diffuses and goes away.
Well said, Dr. Nafisa. So, can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
I've had so many wonderful books, not necessarily related to anxiety, but reading The Alchemist really gave me the idea by, and it's by Paulo Coelho. He has written this book, this little tiny book that talks about the journey of this little kid and how there are signs in the world that kind of guide us if we're paying attention. And so that book has made a huge difference for me as far as being aware and paying attention to my environment. And if I'm on the right path, then I'm going to be given signs. But if I'm in the wrong path, maybe there's some nudges that are happening from the universe that put me back on the right path. I also love Robin Sharma's books. He has written The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, The 5 a.m. Club, Who Will Cry When You Die. I think the Who Will Cry When You Die was really impactful for me because we need to stop living our life for our resumes, but to live our life for our eulogy. Like, what will people say about us after we die? What kind of impact did we have on this world? Did we make an impact at all? Did we treat people kindly? Did we live our lives the best way we could have? And so that was a really powerful book for me as well.
Very well said, Dr. Nafisa, and thank you for that recommended book. So, what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
No, I don't want anybody to be like me. I want them to be like themselves, but I want them to be the best version of themselves. So, one of the ways you can do that is focus on the areas you have control over. Right now, I have, like, you have my website up that I started the Happiness Project, and that's basically uh, a year of every month we have a different theme so that we can focus on expanding our comfort zone and helping to hopefully trying to cultivate more happiness by December 2026. And every month, like I said, there's a different theme, and we focus on that theme. The first theme in January was all about decluttering and clearing up your energy in your house and having more positive energy in your environment. And then this month in February, we're focusing on relationships, your relationship with yourself, with others, and with your faith, with God. So next month is going to be all about parenting, and that's parenting your own self. And then if you're not a parent yet, how do you heal and forgive the parents if you have any kinds of wounds you have with your own parents? Just focusing on parenting in general in different ways. And like I said, every month we focus on that so that we're working on things, expanding our world, overcoming a lot of issues that we're dealing with. And it's a private community that we kind of help each other create that support system that we need to get through 2026.
Well, thank you for that empowering advice, Dr. Nafisa. And what will be your short term and long term goals?
It's all, like I said, connected to the Happiness Project this year because that's my focus. And my short term goal is to get through each month and be a better version of myself and expand my world. I'm going through this happiness journey with everybody else that's inside the group because I want to make sure I'm more mindful and proactive in 2026 and try to see if I can cultivate more happiness. And then my long term goal is to hopefully have more happiness by the end of the year.
Well, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success, Miss Dr. Nafisa. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, of course, my book 101 review in sixth season too, comedy 101 fourth season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fourth season or fifth season, science 101, sex 101 fourth season, and my baby podcast trivia 101, motivation 101, spiritual awakening 101, entrepreneurship 101, law 101, mental health 101, coaching 101, Bible verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Nafisa, finally, if agency is about being the author of your own life, what is the title of the chapter you're writing right now? And what's the next chapter going to be about?
I didn't understand that question. What was the question again?
Yes, so if you're writing a book, what about your own life? What is the title of the chapter you're writing now?
It's all about increasing more my comfort zone and challenging myself. I don't know. I don't have a specific title yet for the chapter, but the goal of the chapter is expanding my comfort zone and just growing, continuing to grow mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually in every area of my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, very well said, Dr. Nafisa. Very well said indeed. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Book 101?
Well, they can go check out my website, drsekandari.com. And if they want to join the Happiness Project, you can go to drsekandari.com/happiness dash project and join us inside the private community.
Yes, people, let's support Dr. Nafisa Sekandari because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to come, more and more happiness for sure will be explored. So, Dr. Nafisa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Monica, people, see you soon.